I'm Hazel. It's almost Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up, and this week is BlizzCon. I am here in Anaheim. It is Friday night. I went this morning, I saw all of the announcements, I saw the cinematics, I watched the What's Next panel, and I'm here to talk about it and break down like the big bones of the news and then tell you how I feel. I don't think I can cover everything because there's 92 things and I'm gonna forget something, but I'm gonna try and hit like all of the major parts and then just like stuff that jumped out at me that I'm really excited for. So this year at BlizzCon, they announced the next WoW expansion, Shadowlands. If you haven't heard, I don't know how you managed that. And if you have not seen the cinematic yet, go watch it right now. I'll wait. I will link it down below. I will wait. You need to see it. It was mind-blowing to watch that in person. It was such a cool moment. I had no idea what was going on until it happened, and then it finished happening, and I still didn't know what was going on. But then Ian came back on stage and explained it for me, so that was the coolest. So in Shadowlands, we were traveling into the afterlife, which I must say is surprisingly well structured. I always figured that it would be mostly chaos after death. It didn't seem super organized, but they have a system, and I'm very excited to explore the different parts of it. So the big pieces of a WoW expansion that you expect, like a dungeon and a raid and a new Mythic Plus season, those are all there. But I feel like the community kind of expected either a new race or a new class or both, and we actually didn't get any of that. And instead of that, we've got a couple of big new features. So on the system side of things, there are covenants. Like at first you see them and you think that they're factions, but at a deeper glance, they seem to be much more than factions. Covenants are basically, the gist of it is that as you level up through the Shadowlands zones, you're going to go through each of the 4 zones of the afterlife and learn about the different factions that rule there, and then at the end of it, you're going to choose one. And that choice influences both cosmetic stuff, there's stuff like really amazing capes, there's pets, there's mounts, there's transmog sets you can get for the choice that you've made, but also combat abilities. Like each of the covenants has a main covenant-wide ability that everybody that chooses that covenant will get, and then also a class-specific ability that is specific for a member of your class in your chosen covenant. So those will all, I'm sure, be thoroughly data mined. I betcha, you know, odds are good that there's going to be like a right choice, but this is not something that you're going to be able to flip back and forth between for like your raid night versus your dungeon night. I read in some interviews that you will be able to change your covenant if you regret your decision, but the cost is steep, and you will not be able to retain any of the stuff from your last covenant when you switch. So you'll lose all of the cosmetics, you may lose a bunch of progress. It's not intended to be something that you flip through like a talent tree. It's a choice that you make that has like real weight. So I'm really excited because first of all, that's just how I am, like always. Secondly, this is kind of what I wanted when I was talking about them letting you choose your own faction. It's not quite as dramatic as them dissolving the Alliance and Horde and allowing us to pick between, you know, like Anduin's Alliance or Tyranda's Splinter faction. Like, it's nothing that crazy, but they are really hammering on this player agency where you are choosing more of your own destiny as opposed to just following a path that has been laid out for you to play through, like on rails. So I really love that. I can't wait to see how it pans out. And then the other thing that's so special about Covenants is that they are gorgeous and they're all so specifically unique from each other. Like the Kyrians are like, you know, Valkyr, sort of Stormheiny, very noble, very pure, lots of, like their area was gorgeous. I got to take a little bit of over-the-shoulder footage from the demo area. I will pop it in here if I can. And it was just so beautiful. They had these little owl things that were carrying, like there was one that was carrying around drinks or something, and I was trying to get a good shot of him, so I was like following him around, but he was really good at his job, so he kept moving. They're like so cute. And then you have the Maldraxxus, which is more of like an undead Eastern Plaguelands-y thing. And I heard actually from the WoWhead interview that if you are part of the Maldraxxus, you'll be able to get a slime pet that while you have it out, it will consume slime pools and then spit out items for you from that. That's evidence that they're expanding pets to offer more utility, offer more interactions, like more stuff that they can do. And I am both excited about that just because I want more reasons to have new pets and love them, but I'm also not concerned, but I want to see how good those things are. I sort of hope that those interactions and benefits from having a specific pet are not so good that I must have that pet all the time, because it would be a little sad if I turned out to be Maldraxxus and then I never got to see any of my other babies again because I had to have my slime out all the time because he was like spitting out legendary mats or something. I don't think that's where they're going, but that was my immediate concern when they said that. And then you've got the Ardenweld, the Night Fae of the Ardenweld, and that's very like emerald dreamy and druidy and gorgeous. And at first glance, you would think that would be like my pick. I'm trying really hard not to pick just based on cosmetics and aesthetics because they're all so visually compelling. They just look amazing. But I know that as a raider, I'm gonna want to look at the combat abilities, and if one of them is just not up to scratch for Shadow Priest, maybe I don't go with that one. But anyways, you'd think that I would be all about the Night Fae, but then they showed the Revendreth Covenant, which is the Venthyr? Let me double check that. We got so much information today, and I feel like my brain has exploded. And I'm just running around my room trying to pick up the fragments of it off the floor. The Venthyr from the Revendreth, and they're like spooky and gothic and ornate and very Bloodborne, if you've ever played that. I adored that game, and it's got a lot of that same sort of like spooky Victorian aesthetic. I'm glad that they're not shying away from really committing to your choice of covenant, because if it was just I would have been very disappointed if they made this big of a deal out of it and it was just like a Shatrath, like an Aldor Scryers thing. This seems like it matters a lot more, and I'm glad that they're committing to that. I think it's going to be really cool. What else do we have? Legendaries. Okay, so they are doing new legendaries where not like the ring or the cloak or even the cloak we're getting in 8.3 where everybody gets one, and in my opinion it's great, but that's not a legendary. If everybody has the same one, then I'm no longer interested. So instead, they're doing a thing where you can basically build a bear yourself a legendary, for lack of a better term. So it sounded like you would be able to find an item and you would sort of have an idea of how to target it, kind of like essences. You find the item with your effect, and then you can take that and slap it into a piece of crafted gear with a couple of other sort of legendary-ish mats to create your legendary. And the cool thing about that is that you can then target the effect that you want, farm that item, and then use it to create a legendary in any slot you like. You can literally, piecemeal together a personalized, customized thing just for you. And it remains to be seen, like, the thing I'm wondering about, and this is an intangible that nobody will ever be able to tell me until I do it and feel it for myself, is it's not something that not everybody's gonna have the same one, but everybody's gonna have the ability to make them. And I feel like scarcity is part of the appeal of legendaries to me, or at least of the original concept of them. And this is definitely super cool, and I'm very excited to be able to look up what kind of legendary I should make and what my best slot to make it in is, especially in a post-Titan Forging world where you will probably, fingers crossed, have a best-in-slot list from the raid of stuff to look for. So I can't wait to look that up and then go work on that one. I just want to know, how cool is it going to feel to make your legendary, given that it's not something everybody has, but everybody has something. Does that make any sense? Other things, they talked about a level squish. This is huge. So in Shadowlands, they are squishing you from 120 down to 50, and then you will level 10 more levels up to level 60. So the reasons they gave for stating that, they stated reasons for giving, the reason why. They want you to unlock something with every level. They want to repace the leveling experience, and they were very specific that they want the whole thing to go faster and have meaningful progress with every level that you make. So you're going to be half the levels. I thought I was going to be more mad about this. I don't care at this point. I think that when it goes in, I'm going to feel weird for a weekend, and then I'm just going to be good. So they also, oh my gosh, it just kept coming. Alt friendliness was a big thing they talked about that I was really excited, because that's like one of the huge complaints that people have about patch 8.3 right, or 8.2, and probably 8.3 right now, is that if you're leveling an alt, you have to do your essence grind from scratch, and it's just a lot to catch up on. And the way that they're approaching alt friendliness in Shadowlands, on your first character, you have to progress through each of those 4 zones to learn about the different covenants. before you choose one at max level and then start progressing it. But when you do Shadowlands on an alt character, you will be able to choose your covenant right away and then level through any zone that you like. Also, you will be able to, while leveling, be making meaningful progress towards your endgame objectives. We don't know quite what that's going to look like yet, but presumably if, say, farming anima and soul binding, and this is an example that I might be wrong on, but if that was a thing that you wanted to do to power yourself up for a raid, and you're doing it endgame on your main, maybe that's something you can be getting done while you are leveling. So it doesn't necessarily sound like they're going to be giving out freebies, like it doesn't sound like they're going to have you complete a thing in your main and it's automatically done or double speed on your alts, but it is nice that you will be able to have more flexibility with how you do the story the second time. It'll give you a chance to see and commit to other covenants and see their storylines, because they're each going to have like a campaign, you know? Like they compared it to the Horde and Alliance war campaigns of BFA. So using alts, you'll be able to see all of that, and they're intending for you to do that essentially. So I'm interested to see what it actually works out to be in terms of work. Like, it's great that you can multitask while you're leveling and start on those things right away. I just want to know, what kind of shape is the average player going to be by the time they hit 120? It's going to be, that's going to decide how much effort I'm going to be putting into, like, doing alts after just having leveled them. Another thing that I'm really excited about is the concept of this Torghast. I don't know how to pronounce it. I watched the whole presentation. I should know. I forget. I don't want to mess it up because I love it so much. It's a big, scary tower that they say is going to be different every time you play it. So basically, you're trying to climb the tower in this repeatable experience that you're not going to get very far in the first time, probably, but as you continue to do it, you'll unlock upgrades and you'll learn and you'll get better, and you'll be able to keep pushing farther and farther up this tower. You can do it with 1 to 5 people. I think they said you could bring up to 4 friends, so up to a full party, but you could also just hang out there by yourself. That's going to be the source of, it sounds like, a bunch of cool stuff. And I feel like they're building, I'm almost anxious about it. Not because I think it's going to be bad, but it feels like they're already evolving and building on the Horrific Visions 8.3 feature. And I haven't even played that one yet. I feel behind, but it looks really cool. And especially because it doesn't sound like we're taking islands with us or war fronts. You know, those wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to bring into Shadowlands. So having things to do outside of your normal, they'll have your world quests and your raiding and your dungeons and Mythic Plus, and which are also dungeons and stuff, but having another feature that's kind of a risk for them to try, I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like they're just kind of hunting almost for their next Mythic Plus, like the next feature that just sort of fits right into people's idea of how they're going to play WoW going forward. So looking forward to the Torghast Tower. And then the thing that stuck in my brain the most in this deluge, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, in this waterfall of information, the thing that I remembered and kept thinking about for the rest of the day is instead of a new allied race or a new race, they are adding more customization options to all, somebody said in an interview, secondhand info, but supposedly all of the original WoW races. And I also heard something about Draenei, so Draenei and Blood Elves are probably in there. I don't know when the cutoff is. But they showed these screenshots. I will find them. I will put them up here. And you can do a dwarf, you can do a Wildhammer dwarf, and that's the kind of thing, they came out with allied races, and I figured that was your Wildhammer dwarf moment. And then they came out with Dark Iron dwarfs, and I was like, well, rip. There goes that plan. It was something that I didn't think they would really touch after having already come up with and implemented allied races. And the fact that you're going to be able, they have undead that don't have the bones poking out, they have new hairstyles, and I have not seen, so they showed us, we saw dwarves, we saw undead, we saw trolls, and then humans, which was really great because they actually have different sort of face shapes and face types for different ethnicities in the humans, which makes so much more sense than the skin tone slider on one face that we've had so far. So that was very cool. And I need I need to see what they are doing for gnomes. I mean, leper gnomes have to be a shoo-in, right? Like, we haven't seen, we don't know, this is a guess, but like, they have to do leper gnomes, right? Like, what other kinds of gnomes are there? Mecha gnomes are an allied race, regular gnomes are already magical. What else can they do? And those are all going to be just part of customization, so you'll be able to just pop into the barber shop, and if you want to switch, you can. You don't have to recreate your character or anything. And that makes my day. I have to see what they're doing with gnomes. I haven't changed my look. My gnome hasn't changed her look since Legion, and I don't know if I ever will, but if anything's going to make me, it's going to be this. In other stuff they announced that I want to slap on real quick, there's going to be Death Knights for everybody. There is going to be an adorable charity pet. That is probably sooner than Shadowlands. Most of this stuff is like next year, next expansion kind of thing. They didn't actually talk too much about 8.3, but they have this little baby alpaca pet that's going to be a charity shop pet coming out soon, and they have these, and just like, wow, like the zones look unbelievable. Like they always do. The art team's been killing it forever, but I can't wait to go. And also, I'm not ready to go. I feel like I need to get like into 8.3 first, and then have a minute to digest that. And I'm just like, I'm ready, but I'm not ready. So that has been my day. I can't even get into my week right now. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about all of the announcements in the comments. Yell at me about anything really exciting that I missed or that I probably did. I'm buzzing. I've had such a big day. I am going to be putting out, I don't know, but something. I feel very inspired. There's a very inspirational atmosphere around BlizzCon, and also there's a bunch of very cool content creators and press people running around that are all working really hard, and it makes me want to pull through for me, I guess. So keep an eye on my channel. I'm going to be doing something. I have a travel video that I'm working on. I will be getting home on Sunday. I'll be back to streaming hopefully Monday. And then we're just going to have to take a knife and fork and start digging through all of this and also all of the 8.3 stuff. And I'm not even okay. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions for next one, I know I didn't hit on them this time. If you have questions for the next video, please put them in the comments. If you asked me a question last time, and you still want it answered, please put it again. I'm going to look through this video's comments to get questions for next week. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.